What I would like to do, you started to tell a little bit of a story of Tank Man there. So I'd love to talk about that and then kind of look at some of your other body of work here.
Okay.
But right here, there we go. Here we are landing on the photo that we've been talking about. And you started to mention that you had just gotten to the hotel in Beijing, that the guy had said you lucky got here when you did because they've just been shooting up tourists, and now you're going up in the elevator with him, and you're asking him if you can get some film. So that's where we left off.
Okay. Well, I had several rolls of film hidden on me, but there was a lot of action down on the street. There were tanks. They were pushing burned out buses out of the way. There was sporadic gunfire. It just was. There was just a lot going on. Surprisingly, very few photos survived. Back then, they were using color negative film, and it deteriorated very fast. And we used color chemicals inside of a lab, but a lot of the photographers that were there were not changing the bleach. So my image actually destroyed and disintegrated right after I got to the AP New York office.
Oh, my goodness.
They managed to save it and digitalize it, but after that, it was completely destroyed. It just totally disintegrated. I was almost killed there. That's when I was hit in the face. That picture. This
one here?
Yeah, I got hit in the face right seconds after that.
Oh, man.
I mean, it smashed my camera. It was a Nikon F3 titanium. It was a special body out of Japan that was strengthened. Had it been any other camera, I would have been killed. The lens was ripped off of a Vivitar flash. As a Vivitar 282, I think, or something like that. It was ripped off. And all I could see was blood pouring down me. I had no idea if I had a crack in my skull or, I got on a bicycle and tried to ride away. I was mobbed by the crowd, and I managed to pull my passport out and scream American. One guy came over, looked at it, and calmed the crowd down. And then they started fighting among themselves, and I had to crawl through knees of people to get away. And then they pointed me to another photo of a dead soldier, and the guy said in broken English, you photo, you tell world.
Wow.
And today, I'm not sure if those were really protesters or they were government plans to try to get this whole thing. I'm pretty sure, looking back on it, that it was more the government than it was actual protesters, because they just did not look like college kids. They didn't look like. I don't know. I don't try not to get a whole lot too political on this story because they're monitoring me, and I don't want to get involved in a lot of politics in this as far as my opinion. But I will say this, and I've said in a lot of interviews, including my own AP, they interviewed me. This is probably on the 30th anniversary. I'm going to say it right now. There were student leaders that were jockeying for power. Now, I admire the courage of these students. They were amazing. And I remember going there in the morning at 6 a.m. when the sun rose. I saw the Goddess of Democracy, then building that, right across from the Mao portrait. And I thought, this is amazing. That Mao portrait, you have the Statue of Liberty, and everybody was excited. They were happy, but I don't think they really understood what they were fighting about. I don't think they really had a concept of what democracy was. I just think they knew that it was a big party and a lot of them were having a good time and this is the way life should be. Well, again, I lost my train of thought. See, this is from years of getting bashed on the head in Bangladesh, rocks thrown at you. It's a problem, a short-term memory thing. Sorry, guys. And I have to keep
you said you were coming up at sunrise and you were seeing the Goddess of Democracy, and I was just trying to get this photo here.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I'm trying to figure out where I was going after that. So, back to the room. So when I took the picture, I wasn't really conscious or aware of things did not click in my brain the way they should have. Okay. Because I was sick, I was exhausted, I'd been working nonstop. I had to file pictures for other newspaper photographers. I had to transmit them back to their papers because they didn't have their own equipment. So I kept getting phone calls. You got to file this for this company. You got this newspaper, this magazine. And I said, I got to get some sleep, because our photo editor had left and gone back to Tokyo the day before, because he'd been there for a while for Gorbachev's visit. And he said, I'm going back. I got to get back to Tokyo. So he left only 3 photographers to run one of the biggest stories of the 20th century. And so I was just absolutely exhausted. I was getting calls from New York. Jeff, I know you're tired, but you got to go back and file this picture, you know? And I almost got in a fight with one photographer over it. Of course, we made up later, but I'm just saying, it comes a point where do you stop? Where do you rest? Where, you know? And I was just about to collapse. So it was just a very exhausting experience. And right after I made that picture, and I'm riding back to the Beijing hotel. No, it was the Jianguo, sorry. The Jianguo hotel is about 2 miles from where the Tiananmen Square was. And I had a long bicycle ride. So I had to keep lifting the bicycle over these steel barricades that the protesters had put in the road to block the troops and the armored cars. And as I passed the Tiananmen Square, it was like, there were like fireworks. And I thought, why are they shooting fireworks off? And then something pricked my face, like a little something. And then it clicked in. It was asphalt from large caliber machine gun fire.
Wow.
So I got into high gear, but I thought to myself as I was riding by, this would be like a movie, because everything is burning, buses on fire, people screaming, running around. It was like slow motion. It was like, you know, when they go into slow motion in a movie, my brain was sort of in slow motion. You know, it was really slow processing everything. When I got back to the office, our other photographer, who was actually the Beijing photographer, he lived there. That was his base of operation, Mark Avery. He says, don't go back out there killing people. And I said, no shit. I mean, I was just, blood's coming down me, my camera's shattered. He said, give me your film. And he was transmitting a picture of a dead protester that had been run over by a tank. And Time magazine wanted it for the cover. So he said, give me your film. I'm going to take it in the darkroom. Well, my camera was shattered, but that camera, the F3, stayed sealed. And so it was light proof. And he had to pry the film open with a pair of pliers to get it out of the camera to develop it. So when he got it out, then he started running all the pictures. And he sent me home, and I went back to the hotel. And I remember turning the TV on to CNN. I ordered room service. I ordered a cheeseburger. And as I'm eating that cheeseburger, I'm seeing all these things on fire and soldiers just down the street where I'm eating the cheeseburger. And I'm thinking to myself, this is one of the biggest stories of the 20th century. And I'm too scared to go back out. And I was angry at myself. I hated myself. I went through so many emotions. I felt like a coward, but I know if I'd have gone back there, I would have been killed. And I'll tell you why. I know me. I'm very competitive. I would have been right up there standing in front of those soldiers, and I would have been flashing them. There's no other way. You would have silhouettes. You had to flash. And if I was flashing, there's no way to get around. I would have been dead. In fact, it was a miracle I didn't get shot, because I took a flash picture of that burning armored car, and they had a machine gun right on me, right in the front of that armored car. They had it on me, and they could have just shot me down right there. But I wanted the picture so bad. I was so competitive that I took the picture. And then I walked around. But by that time, which I should mention, you have the biggest story. You're the only one there. Nobody knows about what's happening. And you only can take one picture every 60 seconds because your flash batteries are almost dead. You cannot believe the agony that I went through. It's like Robert Capa and all these great photographers are looking down and as a private joke, laughing at you. Because I just could not believe this was happening in front of me, and I can take only one picture every 60 seconds. And as I was looking down, looking down, waiting for that red light, I picked up the camera to take the picture. Boom! That's when I get hit.
Oh, man.
If that camera had been a split second later, the rock would have hit my skull head on. I would have been killed instantly. The camera.
Well, once again, it's the divine hand, right?
I don't know how religious I am. I don't even know if I am religious, but I'll tell you one thing. There's got to be a guardian angel somewhere because, you know, I've been so lucky so many times. It's unbelievable.